Hey everybody, this is James.
And Marco.
And Nabil.
And this is the Movie Pals podcast number 153. Today we are continuing the Francis Ford Coppola Corner with a review of the 2009 film Tetro, followed by our main review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So without further ado, let's get into our Francis Ford Coppola Corner.
Welcome into my office here in the Napa Valley. I want to just take a moment with you as I try to film this myself. I'm holding my camera in my hand. And I want to talk to you about my new film called Tetro. T-E-T-R-O. Tetro is the name of the principal character. It's an original screenplay, and really the first original screenplay that I've written since The Conversation many years ago. The reason why so much time has gone by before doing the work that I really always wanted to do is sort of about how my career went and took me in other areas that I didn't expect to go.
All right, everybody. So for our Coppola Corner, this is we are in the home stretch here, basically. If this is your first time listening, basically for the Francis Ford Coppola Corner, we've been reviewing every Francis Ford Coppola directed film since Dementia 13, all the way up into his newest film that will be coming out. So technically, we are taking a brief hiatus after we finish the last film next podcast. But
some of us are also celebrating watching these films by enjoying some light, refreshing beverages, as I understand.
Yeah, so when we originally did the Coppola Corner, we Marco and I met up, and we got for the first couple.
We had a few dates.
Coppola wines, and this time around we're just at our own homes. But I'm drinking this Sophia Rosé, which is named after his daughter. Little can.
And I'm drinking dripping. It is kind of dripping down my throat.
There we go.
And so it begins. Francis Coppola's Pinot Noir.
Yeah, so we stopped doing it a while ago because I got trashed during one of the podcasts. And it was kind of hard to figure out what I was trying to say most of the time.
So
but,
thus we're trying to experiment again.
Yeah, for the last two, I thought let's go for it. Fuck it, Let's celebrate Coppola wine with the Coppola movie. So,
though what he's not telling you is that these are the canned versions because we're very fancy.
Yeah, I'm drinking the sparkling can version, so it's with a straw that doesn't seem like it's very. I don't know why there's a straw. I'm not gonna lie.
It's very classy.
Maybe it's a sipping drink.
Yeah, just sip and enjoy, just like his films, his later films at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are going to give you some trivia. Our last movie that we reviewed from him was the 2007 film Youth Without Youth. We had some pretty mixed feelings about that. I know Nabil liked that one a lot better, but we want to give you there's not too much trivia between Youth Without Youth to Tetro because there's only a 2-year gap, not like a 10-year gap like it was last time. So we will give you some info here.
All right. So, as always, we like to give a little bit of trivia between the previous movie and the next one. So, some trivia involving the journey from Youth Without Youth to Tetro is in February 2007. Coppola announced that he would produce and direct the film Tetro based on a script that he had written while editing Youth Without Youth. Production scheduled to begin in Buenos Aires, Argentina in late 2007. Coppola was attracted to Argentina as a location. Quote, I knew Argentina has a great cultural, artistic, literary, musical, and cinema tradition. And I like those kinds of atmospheres very much because you usually find creative people to work with, end quote.
Production did not begin as scheduled, and by March 2008, Vincent Gallo and Maribel Verdú joined the cast. The Spanish company Tornasol Films and Italian company BIM Distribution signed with the director to co-produce the film. Production began on March 31st, 2008 with a budget of $5 million, with Coppola using the production style similar to his previous film, Youth Without Youth. Filming took place in La Boca and Buenos Aires and other parts of the capital city.
Filming also followed in the Andean foothills in Patagonia and at Ciudad de la Luz Studios in Alicante, Spain. The entire project was edited using Final Cut Pro on Apple Mac computers, an especially designed large-screen edit suite built by Masa Suyuki. The film received general positive reviews from critics.
Thank you, guys. And so let's get on with our review of Tetro.
Hola. Tetro. Nobody's here. He really doesn't want to know his family anymore.
You stay 1 week.
Thanks, Angie.
Angie's dead. My name is Tetro.
Hola, el Tetro. ¿Cómo están? ¡José!
¿Qué pasa? ¡No, papá! ¡No!
Actually, they're very much in love.
That's love?
People around here don't know much about me. I'd like to keep it that way. Miranda doesn't even know who our father is.
When I met him, he said he was a writer, and he held everything he had written against his breast.
So what was it about?
So Tetro, sitting at 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. The story goes, when teenage Benny arrives in Argentina to look for his long-estranged brother, Tetro, he finds not the idolized sibling from his youth, but a tormented and self-destructive soul who has abandoned his brilliant career as a writer. After Tetro rejects him, Benny risks his brother's wrath by secretly completing one of his plays and submitting it for consideration for a prestigious literary prize. Once again, directed by the great Francis Ford Coppola, as James has mentioned, we are doing his complete filmography from start to finish because we are the Francis Ford Coppola podcast. Take that, movie friends. We've got to jab at them every time.
Mm-hmm.
Tetro was written by Francis Ford Coppola. It released on May 14th, 2009. Had a budget, as mentioned before, of $5 million. Its box office gross was a mere 2.6 million. So,
I will say this much: this movie did not get a wide release, though.
Yeah, this is an indie film, way indie film.
Yeah, and as we talked about in the last film, like he's beyond the point of like making money for his movies from what he had said about after Youth
he's
That
given
Youth
up on
bombed. Like he was like, "Fuck it."
Yeah, it's all about the art, baby. That expression. But yeah, it's a Coppola special. Not at this point, not really making much at the box office. The movie stars Vincent Gallo as Tetro, Alden Ehrenreich as Benny, and Maribel Verdú as Miranda. So we always like to start with our history of the movie and if we've seen it before. So I'll go ahead and start with Nabil on this one. Nabil, what's your history with Tetro and have you seen it before?
I've not seen the film. The only history I could ever say that I've had with this is I feel like I've seen the poster of this film when we were looking at it. I think I've seen it like at Hollywood Video or Blockbuster, kind of always up over there. Yeah.
I remember.
Like I'd always seen the DVD, but I'd never watched it. If I knew it was a Francis Ford Coppola film at the time, I might have picked it up. But the most experience or exposure I've had to it is seeing it on a DVD shelf somewhere a long time ago.
Back in the old days. Right on. What about you, James? What's your experience with Tetro and have you seen it before?
No, never seen it. I'm with Nabil. I want to say this was one of those movies. Remember like Blockbuster used to have like exclusive movies?
Yeah.
Like rent or something. This might have been one of them, man, because they would get some indie ones sometimes. Because I swear I've seen this poster of this movie as well before. So at least over like Youth Without Youth, which was like I never heard of. I think I've actually come across this as well, but I've once again never seen it though. So and once again didn't even know it was Coppola either. So
I'm sort of with you guys. I have never heard of it before. Never seen it before. It sounded familiar to me. And I don't know why. And yeah, when I saw the thumbnail of the movie, when I watched it, it did look familiar, but I don't remember why or if I'd seen it or maybe it looks like something similar to what I've seen, but I'd never heard of it at all.
I mean, you're in the movie. You're Tetro, aren't you?
Basically, dude. It's
based on your life.
Autobiography. Wait. Not all. Not 100%. There's a scene in there where I was just like, God damn it, dude. Every time. But whatever. So with that said, Nabil, what did you think of Tetro?
Listening to the description of the film made me realize how much there was between where the film starts to when they get to the main part of Benny submitting the play. So I was like, oh, there's like a whole thing, and it just kind of tells you not a lot really happens, but there is so much that actually does happen in this movie, and it's all through the writing, it's all through the character development and the relationship with Tetro and Benny, and I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was this is another kind of artistic Coppola, beautifully shot, well written film where he put some thought and took some time with it, even though it was only a couple of years. Like, I think I read somewhere too that this is something that he had tossed around a long time ago, but then just kind of like he had an idea for it, and then came across this kind of script that he decided to really go in and to make a film from. But it was like a film that he's wanted to make for a long time, and you can see that it's just I really enjoyed it. I mean, there's a lot of good things I have to say about this film.
All right, right on. What about you, James? What were your thoughts on Tetro?
Is surprisingly, I quite like this movie actually, as opposed to Youth Without Youth, which just I think was all over the place. This one still has that art house feel to it, but I think it does a better job of just kind of centralizing what the hell it's about, as opposed to the previous movie where they're just like,
yeah,
I don't know what's going on. Like I didn't have to Google this.
Plot.
I didn't have to Google this plot. So
yeah, no Wikipedia.
I really liked the performances in this too. I wasn't even aware Alden Ehrenreich. This was like his first movie he ever did. He was still in high school when he actually got cast.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So I think he does you can tell that I'm like, oh, this guy has some really good star power, you know, like acting and such. It's a very quiet film, and it reminded me almost of like a play, if that makes sense, especially all the scenes like in the apartment and such like that. They all seem like things like that. And I guess Vincent Gallo, I wasn't aware like he's had like a pretty troubled past and all this shit. I don't know if you guys looked into that. And his casting in this was considered kind of this would like be casting like if you cast like Shia LaBeouf in a movie right now or something like that. So this is
very controversial.
Yeah,
well, he was like hot shit in the 90s, right? I've never seen it, but he was like up and coming artistic actor.
He was also up and coming director too. So he did some stuff with Christina Ricci. I guess that's kind of questionable. So like I looked into that too, and it's just like, okay, sometimes, you know, people take different paths, and I thought everything was really well acted. The twist to it all was kind of cool, and I don't know, the black and white. I really felt like this was almost like Rumblefish 2.0. Like, does that make sense? It's very similar about like brothers and relationships and family, and I mean they're also both shot in black and white, which is kind of crazy, and kind of like just quiet films. Is like I say, like there's a lot of just talking, but I liked it. I was very surprised.
Mumbling Rumblefish the whole time.
Fucking sweating and just smoking a cigarette like fucking
in a white beater. Yeah.
Fucking Mickey Rourke just, well, what do you need? I got the fish. Right. So yeah.
Rumblefish. They're blue.
Yeah. But I thought it was also, I agree with Nabil. I thought it was beautifully shot. And the soundtrack to it all too, the orchestra music, it was really good. So
kind of has to be, right?
Yeah, kind of is, but
yeah.
Well, yeah. I liked it. I think I'm with you guys. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I do agree that it's very artsy, it's very indie. I did like that he took a black and white approach and went that route. I thought the same, James. It did remind me of Rumblefish as well. I'm like, it's like a second attempt. And it had to do with brothers, quote unquote, up until the twist. And yeah, it was well acted for sure. I mean, we got back-to-back Maribel Verdú movies too. I'm all about her, man. She's great
right?
actor. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, The Flash's mom. Alden Ehrenreich, I think, also did a great job too. I haven't seen a lot of them, with the exception of Solo, and there's one other movie he did too.
Hail Caesar?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, he's talented. It's kind of a shame, he's not really getting much more work. Vincent Gallo, he looks familiar, but I really can't pinpoint it. He looks like Sean Penn. I almost thought it was Sean Penn until, hey, almost similar stories, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, shit, man, he's like Sean Penn 2.0. Okay. But yeah, very well acted. The chemistry was there. You could feel the tension between Tetro and his brother Benny. If you have siblings, I think you can relate to this, and you can really feel that sense of wanting to connect with your brother, because everybody has that sibling rivalry growing up, at some point or another. Maybe you don't, I don't know, but I did at some point. So it was a very touching script and story at that. And then the performances from even the side characters, there's an actor, I don't remember his name, but he's a very, I should remember his name. He's a very famous Spanish actor. He was the guy who owned the theater, but he's in
Jose
Money
or
Heist.
whatever?
Yeah, he's in Money Heist. I think the last 2 seasons. He's in Money Heist.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and he also stars with Gal Garcia Bernal in The Motorcycle Diaries. So he's a very talented actor as well too. It's nice to see him. It's very nice to see all these Spanish actors.
Rodrigo de la Serna.
Yes, that's him. Thank you, James.
I'm probably butchering his fucking name. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. But
he's Alberto.
But yeah, his part wasn't that big, but man, he gives it his all, 100%. Everyone, the young girl and her aunt also like give great performances too. Like at no point did anyone just phone it in, which is crazy.
I like that. Yeah.
So I think that added to just immersing you into the movie,
especially as opposed to the previous movie where I felt like the performances were very uneven. Like some people were really good, some people were like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" I felt like everyone was very good in this movie.
And yeah, I agree with you, James. The plot was very easy to understand. You didn't need to, pull out Wikipedia or anything of that.
I still don't know what Youth Without Youth was about.
Yeah, with that being said, what did you think of the plot? What were your thoughts on that?
I liked it. It goes. It's like Nabil said. It starts as one thing really, where it's like a guy that he really looked up to his brother his whole life, and his brother left, and it kind of broke his heart, right? Because they lived with a father that was not the greatest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And he's always been like kind of looking forward. He even brings up like everything that he knows he learned from his brother, right? He learned from Tetro, and like he's like, the reason why I like to write is because of you, and blah blah. And then we go through that whole thing where Tetro feels betrayed by him, so Benny finds the play that he just never completed. And then I liked that he just goes off and is like, fuck it, I'll just do it. I did think it was weird that they were kind of cool about it for a little bit near the end. like he goes with them to the damn thing. I was like, that's a little weird.
I think it kind of sets that up because of the age difference. I mean, you can tell that Tetra's way older than Benny.
Yeah, definitely.
And it almost feels because their father was so missing in action that he was like a pseudo father to Benny already.
Yes, which leads into the plot where it's like it's revealed later about it, and then it makes sense, and that kind of destroys Benny thinking about that because I don't know, it just shows how evil the dad was. So
yeah.
I think the father was very egotistical, right? Like his ego came before anything else in his life.
Yeah, he wanted
to be the best.
He even had his brother change his name first or something before he changed his, and he's like, "Wait, but that's our name." I'm like, yeah, but now you can change it.
Yeah, they did a very good job at kind of piecing it with the flashbacks. Some movies do flashbacks horribly. I think the flashbacks were handled pretty well with this.
Yeah, I like how they showed it too.
Yeah. On that, any of the scenes in the plot that stood out to you, Nabil, that kind of showcased the plot or the performances for you?
I think one of the first scenes with Tetro and Benny at the cafe, they're just kind of sitting there and they're, Benny's trying to get to know his brother and his brother's setting the ground rules. And at the same time, everything that's happening around him, like, it's so chaotic. Like, that kind of set the film up for me. Like, okay, these guys are all living their lives. Benny's just kind of jumped in through it, thrown into it. And Tetro's like, this is my life and I don't want you to change anything, kind of thing. And that kind of goes through it. Like, Benny's slowly trying to chip away at what Tetro's built to kind of get to the core of like, I'm your brother and I want to get to know you kind of thing. And throughout the whole film, like, I love Vincent Gallo's performance here because the whole thing, Tetro's an asshole, whole film. Like, but people love him though, because he means well, right? Like there's a little bit of heart of gold, but he's still an asshole to everybody,
Right.
Yeah. And they continue to talk about like how genius he is. I think one of the signs
Miranda brings it up.
Yeah, Miranda says like he's a genius who has not accomplished anything. You know, I thought that was a funny thing.
This is what it
That's
looks
what he
like,
is.
right?
In a way, Nabil, you can tell that it's this guy's traumatized, and he's an asshole, not for the sake of being an asshole, but he's seriously troubled. There's some
Right.
shit
Yeah, they
that-
even show him
that
in
caused-
like that's
He
how
has
he
a
met
mental
Miranda.
institute.
He was in
Mm.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I mean, that I think scene really stood out for me, and then the scene near the end where Tetro is kind of standing up to I get the critic alone, not really standing up to her, but more just saying, he kind of came to a self realization of who he was
Mhm.
by saying that I don't really care much about your opinion, and it seemed like he was likely to win the prize, but that kind of cemented of like. His whole feeling and everything is like, I don't want to
Mhm.
be famous for the sake of fame. He just wants to do his art, and that's all it is. And so that kind of came full
Kinda
circle
meta.
for him. Yeah,
Kind of
Well,
meta.
It very much is for Coppola's own career.
yeah.
At this,
I
point in
agree
his
with
career, at
scenes.
least. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I saw it too. I was like, oh, very meta. I see what you did there. Coppola.
Yeah.
Anything that stood out for you, James?
No, I mean, I'm just piggybacking on that too. The cafe
Yeah.
scene is one of the better scenes too, and
Yeah, that
I
and
even
the,
like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that and the flashbacks with the dad I kind of liked, because you kind
I
of
love that they shoot him in color,
see-
and it's like
Yeah, kind of did a
all the
reverse on
flashbacks
you.
are in color to give you like a vivid like this was the past, this is not present.
yeah.
It's like a
It
warmth
just-
to it all.
Yeah. Again, I don't know why I'm so impressed by this, but just when people just have very small roles and stuff and still give it their all to add that realism, to add that depth to a movie, it just makes it that much
Yeah.
better. And I feel like even with the flashback scenes, it added to that. There's a scene where the dad is being a total asshole to Tetro when he introduces his girlfriend, and you see the sequence of events of the dad just being a total piece of shit and seducing his very young girlfriend, Tetro's very young girlfriend, and stuff. And it's just like the performances just added that much more to it. And I was just like, fuck, this is like gut wrenching and uncomfortable all at the same time. But I felt like those flashbacks added a lot. Nabil, thoughts on the twist of the movie with Tetro? We come to the reveal after the movie or after the play performs that Tetro is actually the father of Benny and not his brother.
I like the twist. I think the twist was a really kind of introduced thing.
Did you say it when it happened, Nabil?
No, I actually again I didn't know it, so I was like, "Oh my god, what a twist!" Because I didn't realize it was happening.
Your mustache? Did you spin the mustache at least twice?
Just a little twist.
I literally jumped up and yelled, "Nabil!" when I saw that. I was like, "Yes!"
I saw that, and when I watched it too, I said, Nabil's going to be impressed by this one.
Yeah, it was a good twist, but here's my one thing about it is really Tetro and his character in regards to like carrying that burden, because throughout the film he seems like he's suffering for his art and because of his father, and I understand the transgression because his father stole essentially or seduced his kind of love of his life at the time, at least.
Yeah.
And he just had to get away after finding out the big revelation of Benny being his actual son. But it seemed like that was I don't know why that tortured him as much. Like suddenly you could see like there was a bit of levity for him, because then he goes into the clarity of like, I don't need your, he goes and kind of confronts alone. I understand Benny's reaction, but it was just, I feel like nothing led up to me feeling that Tetro was like, that was the thing that was sitting with him. It seemed like everything to do with his father. And maybe I just kind of missed that connection because his father took away that from him. And maybe that's really what it is. But that was the one thing that was kind of bothering me about
I think that's it, Nabil, is the final thing that broke him. It's like, not only do you not get to spend your life with the person you love the most because someone who's supposed to love you and look after you pretty much took that from you, is now you find out that your brother is actually your son, and now you can't even have that family. and it's sort of like just kind of you're sort of like ripping his heart away, dude. You know, and like that, like I'm not excusing the shit that Tetro does, because he does a lot of shady shit, but it's an explanation and a view as to like how someone can get broken, you know, with that amount of trauma.
Sure.
That's some heavy shit, you know.
It's also like the play itself was almost like autobiographical, right? Supposedly.
Yeah.
So it's just like by him completing it too, it rubbed him the wrong way, because like he didn't know the full story. So I think that's the way also is like, hey. Like,
oh, I see. And the ending kind of was like, that's not the real ending kind of thing.
Yeah, that's why he takes him aside while it's playing, by the way. It's kind of like
in the background.
and that's the realist he is in the whole movie, when he just talks to him in that little by the fountain or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why
I see. Okay.
Yeah. I think it actually works really well. And then I do like that Benny just like after that, when he goes back to the family and stuff, he's just like, fuck everybody here.
I love that. I love that Benny was like, fuck you guys for fucking hiding this from me and knowing this the whole time, and like telling his aunt off. I'm like, you fucking hid this from me too. Like, you know, you're no better than anybody else over here. And like gave the fucking, you know, talked to his uncle and was like telling him, you know, that it's my grandpa. And you could see
like,
the
what do you
uncle never
mean?
knew. Yeah, he's like, what the fuck? You know, so, like torch the place. Like it's great.
I didn't expect that at all. Yeah,
scorched sheriff.
I was like, ooh.
James, your thoughts on how Tetro was filmed in black and white and the flashbacks in color? I know you kind of touched on that a little bit, and how it made things stand out for in the flashbacks. Anything else you wanted to add to that?
I think it's like a kind of a neo-noir kind of feel to it, right? A little bit black and white whenever you get that, especially. By the way, did you guys know when he got hit by that fucking motorcycle? I actually jumped.
Dude, yeah, I thought he died.
Dude, me too.
Shit,
dude, that was wild, dude. When the dog thing, and I was like, damn, they filmed that really well, that action scene, technically. Like, I was like, damn, that was like really good. Like, oh shit, you think the dog's gonna die? Oh, he's good. Then he gets fucking nailed.
And you see how he stops the dog too? He fucking stomps on the leash. Like that dog looked like he was actually about to get hit by that car.
I almost feel like it. I was like, damn, they did a pretty good job. So, but once again, like the night scene, I really like how the night scenes are shot. Anything with heavy shadows, it looks really good cinematography wise. And like I said, flashback wise, we get them all in color just because it's supposed to show kind of like a vivid imagination, or maybe it's supposed to show like a better memory of it all. Even though sometimes the memory is shitty, but it's like it's very vivid for them. So that's how I interpret it, at least.
Yeah, same. That's it. You know, trauma sticks with you like that, and that's how you see it. It replays in your mind over and over again. So yeah, I agree. Nabil, did this feel like a Coppola film to you?
Oh, totally felt like a Coppola film. It was shot like not just with the black and white, like James said though. It was just shot so beautifully for it being black and white. He used so much of the shadows and the muted color palette to bring everything to life. I mean, the dialogue in it, the script was great. I think just like those conversations, that's definitely like he sat down, spent time, and really gave the writing, the conversations, and fleshed out the characters the way that he wanted to, very passionately, and it came great on screen. You know, like it's. We just, you know, James mentioned the car accident, like that scene, very intense for a film that was kind of quiet, but from the cafe scene to them being at the stage and Tetro like shouting out shit to his kind of friend about how shitty the play was, like all the chaos that would come in a scene when you would just kind of go through quiet, like just like Tetro's temper, you know, something would blow up and you saw it all on screen really quickly and it was shot. You know, you captured everything so well. So I think it's totally a Coppola film.
What about you, James?
Yeah, no, I agree. I love a lot of cinematography in this one too, especially.
Yeah,
I think if you look at it, the way that it's shot is just really beautiful. I feel like the black and white, like I said, it is very reminiscent of like Rumblefish, which is just like, you know,
Rumblefish.
Yeah, Rumblefish. We just fucking smoke everywhere.
I agree.
Yeah, and one other thing I'd like to say too is just that the dialogue is a step up so much from the last film. It's insane.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I know that like this, I think this was one of his first ones that he wrote originally by himself. Since this, I don't know which one it was the other one, but it's like his first just solo writing credit in a long time. So it just shows. I feel like just going through all his films, like you can tell he was very passionate about this one, and it's very apparent from what we've seen on screen. So yeah,
I think that the dialogue is definitely what makes it a Coppola film for me. And Nabil, you touched on a scene earlier, the one that popped out for you, which is the cafe scene where there's so much going on. And Coppola is just so good at filming like an ensemble on screen. It flows. Everything. It's just like
if it ain't a wedding scene, it's got to be something, right?
Yes, you can see everything that's going on and not miss a thing. There's just the way he directs and makes everything move and still look so natural. Is man, it's chef's kiss to that, dude. It's an incredible talent that he has and a good eye that he has for that. So yeah, that's what made it feel like a Coppola film to me for sure. So with that said, I think we're gonna move into our star rating, where we rate a film between 1 and 5 stars. 5 stars being great, 1 star being poop. I'll go ahead and I'll start with you, Nabil. What do you rate Tetro on a scale of 1 to 5 stars?
I gave this 4 stars.
Right on. It's fair. I like it.
Yeah.
What about you, James?
I give Tetro 3.5 stars.
Cool beans, because I'm there with you. I give this one also 3.5 stars. Enjoyable, definitely rewatch, but probably not for everybody.
No, it won't be for everybody. I think it's still very artsy, but I think if you've been following along, this is a nice change of like scenery and also a nice return to form, I think.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'd say definitely give it a shot. If these are your types of movies, if you're into indie artsy movies, or if you're a completionist and want to go through, this journey with us of completing Coppola's filmography, then have at it. Anything else you guys wanted to add about Tetro?
I will say I really liked the scenery, like him being in Argentina and Buenos Aires. It was a little difference. Gave it kind of, that almost a European feel. I mean, it's obviously Argentina, so it's its own thing, but
exactly.
that kind of, it's not in the States, it's its own place, and you really get a feel for like the area that it's in the culture. Like he didn't just kind of do like we're in this location, everybody's speaking English, but they're really speaking Spanish, but we're gonna do it like they're in Argentina, they're speaking their own language, everybody's got their own thing, and you're adapting to the culture. And Benny's the one who's the fish out of water coming from the States going into this new place, and he makes sure that you're just fully in that area and not trying to give it like an adapted for an audience that may not be actually watching it. So I like that part of it.
Nice. Put your shirt back on. No, I agree. I like the switch between English and Spanish and how it happened in conversation.
Very natural.
That realism also does exist too. Like if you're with people who are bilingual, sometimes that'll happen. Like it'll start in a different language and then go into English, then go into a different language, and it's seamless, and he captured that perfectly, which is cool. And that completes our review of Francis Ford Coppola's Tetro.
Let's move on now to our main review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
I'm retiring.
Well, in that case, what are we drinking?
Same for the goddaughter.
Dad told me you found something on a train during the war. A dial that could change the course of history.
Why are you chasing the thing that drove your father crazy?
Don't move. We need to get out of here. Stop! Sorry.
Helena!
Dr. Jones, get him. Hitler made mistakes, and with this, I will correct them all. You stole it. Then you stole it.
And then I stole it. It's called capitalism.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It's currently sitting at a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. Archaeologist Indiana Jones races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history. This was directed and written by James Mangold, He's done quite a few films in the past. You guys are probably very familiar with him. He's done The Wolverine, Logan, Ford versus Ferrari, one of my favorite westerns, 3:10 to Yuma, a film we mentioned not too long ago, Night and Day. You know, some really solid hits.
I was like, oh, okay.
It was also written by in partnership with Jez Butterworth, who had penned Edge of Tomorrow and Spectre. John Henry Butterworth, who's done Get On Up and Flag Day, and David Coeb, who back in the day helped out with Jurassic Park, Carlito's Way, the original Mission Impossible, and Indiana Jones and the King of Crystal Skull. You know, because he has a little bit of tie-in for these two films just to keep the continuity going. This film was released in theaters on June 30th and is currently sitting over there. So if you haven't seen it, you really should, and watch it in the big screen. This is starring the return of Harrison Ford as Henry Jones Jr., Indiana. Phoebe Waller-Bridge comes in as Helena Shaw. Mads Mikkelsen, always the villain, as Jurgen Voller. Antonio Banderas plays Ronaldo. John Rhys Davies returns as Salah. Toby Jones is Basil Shaw. Boyd Holbrook plays Kleber. Ethan Isidore is Teddy Kumar. And Olivier Richters is Hawk. So, I'm going to start with you, James. What was the thought of this film? What did you think about it?
Well, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this film is tanking, right? So, and all the critics seem to not like this goddamn movie.
I don't understand it,
which is crazy. I loved this movie. This might be like my movie of the year, like hands down. I saw it twice actually already. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I saw it on I saw it in IMAX on Thursday, and then Friday morning I took my dad to go see it in Screen X actually. So I saw it like 6 hours after I just seen the movie. Like I was like, let's go again. So
go for another ride.
Yeah, and I really liked it. I think it's one of those movies that, you know, they probably didn't have to make another Indiana Jones. It kind of wraps up pretty nicely in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you know. But I think for a movie that features Harrison Ford, and he's 80 years old now.
Is he 80?
He's handled it very gracefully. It's a real like adventure. It's not just him talking, like they didn't make it where it's like just old jokes the whole time, you know. It's an actual like Indiana Jones adventure. And I liked it. It's so cool to see Harrison Ford, as grumpy as he can be, right? But return for these roles. I know that he specifically really likes playing Indiana Jones, and you know he's stated in the past like he is Indiana Jones. Like there's no other Indiana Jones. So like we've in the past couple of years to think about, like we've got him back in Blade Runner, we got him back in Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
He's revisiting these iconic roles.
It's kind of insane, but I think he's a great actor. I think the performances are great, man. I thought the action was really well done. I like the new characters too. We'll get into it, but I loved it, man. It was everything I wanted it to be.
What were your thoughts, Marco, on the plot or this film in general?
So I had heard mixed reviews about this movie and heard that it was tanking, and some thumbnails on YouTube spoiled the fact, you know, why this movie is tanking, blah, blah, blah. And I got a little worried for a second there. I fucking loved it too, man. This was an Indiana Jones movie. I had a fun time. I marathoned all the previous Indiana Jones movies with my son and my brother, and we had a blast just watching all of them. And then we went to go see the new one.
All the movies leading up to this a couple weeks ago, though. I didn't marathon before. So
yeah, we I think we started on Thursday and then finished I think the day before, and it was a fantastic journey, dude. I think it helps really. I don't know why it's tanking. Maybe these people haven't seen like the classics in a while, probably, you know. But it was what James said, dude. It felt like an Indiana Jones movie. It didn't rely on nostalgia, you know. Obviously, you know, they have some callbacks in there, and you know, some member berries. You're like, oh, yeah, I remember that. You know, but they were just like off the cuff things, like blink and you miss it moments. The rest was just new and fresh. And, this aging Indiana Jones that that feels lost, and it feels like a yearning for his youth of adventure. And I don't know if it's because I'm pushing 40 right now or anything, but I could really fucking relate to that. Okay, and I really felt connected to the movie. My brother, my son enjoyed it, and I think that experience also added to it. We had a fun time watching it. So I haven't seen it twice like James has, but I can tell you right now, spoiler, I'm gonna. So yeah, dude, it was
Parker, you do
great
realize
adventure.
you're closer to Harrison Ford's age when he did Raiders of the Lost Ark than he was in. Just to let you know, I don't know if it's the Rose speaking, but I'm like, this motherfucker can't count.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm almost 80 years old, guys. I lived a long life.
No, I know, but you just kind of like you start reflecting on things a little bit more,
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Body ain't quite like what it used to be, Maybe that's the fucking Pinot Noir talking, but every once in a while, lift the arm and starts to hurt. What the fuck am I having a stroke?
Some hard facts, some real hard
but no, man, it's a great movie. I'll tell you hands down right now, I don't agree with that Rotten Tomatoes score. It's far too fucking low, and I don't agree with the mixed reviews, dude. I don't know what people want, but
there's a lot of people. We'll talk about it, but it's like there's just plot wise. But I'm like, it worked for me. So
yeah, I agree. I think that's part of that, right?
I will tell you this. And this even includes the Crystal Skull, because watching with fresh eyes in a long time, if you watch the entire series back to back, there is no fucking way you can judge that movie. Well, I mean, Crystal Skull for a specific character, that's understandable, whatever. But I'm talking plot wise. There's no way you can judge that and this movie and not look at the original 3 the same way. There's just no fucking way. Like, if one expects the suspension of disbelief, then you have to carry that through the rest of the series.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've actually never had a problem with King of the Crystal Skull. There's always people that have hated it, but I'm like, it's okay.
Right? But yeah,
I'm rewatching it again. I'm like, even with my parents who've like never seen it, they were like, it's okay. They understand it's not the best one, but I mean, still like Indiana Jones and shit.
Yeah. Nabil, what were your thoughts of this movie? What'd you think?
No, I mean, I do agree. I feel like that score is disappointingly low, especially since for some reason they showed it at Cannes and people seem to love it over there.
I don't think Disney will ever bring a movie to Cannes again, by the way.
Yeah. I don't know why.
This is Elemental
both Cannes, but
didn't do well there, and both tanked after because of like early negative reviews.
Yeah.
So
it seems really odd, but I will say,
right now.
I had a great time with this film. It was very much just an Indiana Jones film, just like any of the other ones. I did the same thing you guys did. I watched all 4 beforehand, and it's pretty consistent with like the action adventure aspect of it and some of the magic mystical things. Like it's all his shtick. And I will say too, like as far as the plot's concerned, it started a little slow for me, and I wasn't sure where they were gonna go. But I mean, like within the first 15 minutes, then you're like, okay, here's the action. Here we're going. There's things happening, and Indy's got his cap on, and he's out in the world, and there was just fun bits. It's funny,
Yeah, I gotta say it's a 2 hour and 35-minute movie, but I thought, for me personally, I mean, shit, I saw it twice. I don't ever do that anymore. You guys know that. But like pacing wise, I was like, yeah, it wasn't bad. I'd rather watch this than other stuff.
Especially a film that's long. That this didn't feel that long. I felt like I just kept going, and the action, the story, everything was naturally moving forward to the next thing. So I enjoyed this film quite a bit, and I wasn't sure about like why the critics were suddenly like tanking this film a bit. And I was really worried. I was going to go, oh my God, we're going to go through a slugfest for like 2.5 hours.
Dude, it's just like The Flash, man, where they're like, everybody piles on. It's the popular opinion to fucking don't like this movie. So all these fucking people are just jumping on board. Half of them haven't even fucking seen the movie. And it's like, okay, like whatever, dude.
Yeah. So let's talk about the characters. First, let me go to you, Marco. Since we've talked about just seeing the films recently. What do you think about Harrison Ford coming back as Indiana Jones for likely the last time?
It's got to be last time.
Yeah,
probably the last time. Yeah, but it's like riding a bike for him, man. He seems like he had way more fun doing this than the Star War.
Yeah, well, from what I've heard, he's never really liked his Han Solo character, right? Apparently,
not as much. Yeah,
yeah. You can tell. You can tell.
Yeah. I think that he captured the essence of an aging Indiana Jones, and I like this existentialism that he had, where he didn't feel like like he belonged or anything, or like his adventure was behind him.
Yeah.
And throughout the film, like, he regains that spark, and James Mangold is a master at doing that. I'm sorry, I know he's done this like in various movies. He's also done Copland, by the way, which is also like about an aging Sylvester Stallone coming back from being semi-retired and doing shitty movies.
That is such a good movie, by the way.
It is, dude.
I didn't realize he had directed that, or directed and written that movie.
Right, neither did I until I saw Logan, and that is it actually inspired Logan a lot, and even a lot of these movies that he's making of people that are at the end of their prime, and coming back into the life they left behind. And that movie, Copland, is way ahead of its time, by the way. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but Harrison definitely captured the essence of Indiana Jones, and it felt like he was giving us the proper farewell to the character. And watching them back to back, it's like, man, he goes into this seamlessly. He has a love for the character, and it shows in every scene. So he did incredible.
Yeah. What about you, James? What were your thoughts on Harrison, and even so, the introduction of another kind of side character, Phoebe Waller-Bridge?
I thought Harrison Ford was great, man. He's just, I guess it's because, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to get emotional here. God, man.
Go ahead, get emotional. The wine's hidden, man.
Wine's
we
hitting
need honest
hard.
James here. Yeah.
I cried like 3 different times during this movie, man. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, cried. So,
well, I mean, Harrison Ford has been he's been played so many iconic roles for us.
I think so. I think growing up, he's like
seeing him where he's at now,
it's like
and
he's
seeing
so
these
old, and it's like, oh man, this is like what happens to life. But he's like, he does so well in it, and he kind of reminds me of my dad a little bit too. So I think that hits a little bit harder for me. But he's great. Like there's a lot more. This is probably the most emotional Indiana Jones gets in any of the 4 movies. 5, sorry. Like
yeah, James, I agree with you.
Like hands down. Like there's some certain scenes
a scene.
I was like, fuck.
I'll mention later, but there's a scene where I got a little teary eyed.
Oh, I'll tell you guys a little bit later too. But man, he's really in shape for an 80-year-old guy, though.
I don't know why he's clenching his fist.
Looking good.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I don't know. If
you see the film, he starts out
in the beginning
shirtless.
Just to be like, hey, look, this is how he can climb shit. Okay, relax. Mm-hmm. But and also, okay, so Phoebe Waller-Bridge apparently is kind of more known for Fleabag and like writing and shit, right? Yeah. She writes a lot of shit. Like she did. She wrote the script to the last James Bond movie, right?
She did.
Yeah. So I actually liked her a lot. By the way, I've never seen her
amazing.
in anything. By the way,
like, no, yeah, she's great.
Never seen her in a single thing. Sorry, she was the droid in Solo. She's L337. She's the co-pilot of the Falcon.
For real?
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's in a suit.
That's her.
Yeah.
I think she did the mo capturing for it too, and obviously the voice, right? So.
Oh shit, that's talent.
So that's kind of cool that like I liked her character. Like she comes off as first as like super naive, but then she's actually kind of a scumbag. But it's also because of like the reason why like she lost her dad early on, and then Indiana's her godfather. It's revealed. It's not a spoiler. I think they talk about it in the trailers, and
they do.
It is funny that she brings up. If only I had somebody that was supposed to like anointed that position, like to take care of me. Like
she
that's
keeps
weird.
Fucking drinking throughout the entire movie too, and I love it.
Yeah, she's got like her little partner. Like her short round is Teddy, right? So, and it's weird. I was like, little Nabil's here the whole time, and I was like, that's cool, and. It was fun. It was random. I didn't think he was going to be in the whole movie, by the way. Just talking about Tetro.
I thought it was just kind of at the beginning. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I thought it was just like a beginning thing. They're going to draw him up. And I was like, nope, he's in like literally the whole. Like technically, it's Indiana teamed up with Helena and Teddy, like the whole movie.
Yeah.
So But I thought she was great. She was funny. She had her chemistry with Harrison Ford was really good. Like they go back and forth.
Mhm.
There's a lot of clumping and stuff like that. Because sometimes you get that character, like for instance, no offense to Temple of Doom, but you get fucking Willie Scott in that movie, and she's fucking annoying the whole time, right? And it's like,
Intentional, but also yes.
intentional, yes,
It
and
was
also
intentional.
Steven Spielberg was banging her at the time, right? I get it. That's his wife now, so
That's
whatever.
why. It's okay.
So
Not
it's
that
just-
bad when you watch it again, though. I watched it and it wasn't that bad.
No, I saw
She
it
was
too, and I
super
still
young.
was like, she's still easily the weakest part of this movie.
Yeah.
But Phoebe Waller-Bridge was cool, man. I'm actually looking forward to like seeing other stuff with her because I actually really enjoyed her performance. Like I said, I first time watching her, and I want to say this is the biggest movie she's been in, unless there's something else that I'm missing.
It's probably the biggest film she's set to star, or co-star.
Because I saw she's written a lot of stuff though, so I was like, that's
Yes.
and
She helps punch up a lot of scripts too. Like they'll come to her for the, like punching up things where it's missing something. You know, she's
Really?
like what
Okay.
J.J. Abrams was before he started just being known as just full-on director. You know, they
Oh, wow,
bring him in to
okay.
punch up things. So she does a lot of that now too.
She was cool though. I liked it. So
Yeah, and I agree. Like her chemistry with Harrison Ford as that kind of like estranged goddaughter kind of thing, but she still has love for him. But she's like, I'm doing my own thing. I don't really need you around. Like that really worked. And she, you know, just like just like Indiana Jones, who, you know, when he's out in the field, he's a bit egotistical and doesn't really give a fuck about certain things, you know, and other people. She's the same way. Like she's got her business and she's living her life, and she doesn't need anybody there to kind of slow her down. But I think it works really well. That relationship was a very solid thing, and it helped kind of bring. You could see, like in the film, at least, it was reigniting Indiana's kind of spark for adventure. Just getting him thrown into all that, and she's kind of pushing him, not intentionally, but she's getting in danger, and he's like, I gotta go fucking save her. Even
he
though
says
she
it,
doesn't
like
say
with the
anything.
mobster guy, and he's like, I didn't come here to save you from your fiance, and
Right.
Well, that was funny.
Like that dynamic works out the whole time, and they're always arguing. But it's really well played. And on top of that, we also have Mads Mikkelsen playing Jurgen, who, as always, he does a very good villain. I think he enjoys those roles.
Good,
so
man.
it's good because that he's enjoying it, because he wouldn't, he doesn't have to do these films. He can do whatever he wants.
He's just doing Death Stranding shit lately, so he's just like,
he's just like, I want to do this in my life.
From Kojima. I'm like,
I'm not gonna say I love Mads because I'm
I love
I'm
Mads
knocking on
Mikkelsen.
wood. I'm knocking on wood right now.
It's okay, man. They'll get a new Kang for you. It's okay.
Performance is great. Just saying.
I thought he was
So, what's your
great.
thoughts on Jurgen, Marco? What's your dislikement?
Solid fucking villain, and Mads Mikkelsen just fucking kills it, man.
Yeah, dude, when he's talking to the Witcher.
Yeah,
you didn't win the war. We lost it.
He's gonna say, like, it looks like he's gonna say I'm a Nazi to him. Like, what's gonna happen?
I mean, he said it. He said it without saying it, and that's all that was needed. And I thought he would have like some sort of augmentation on him or something, because I'm like, dude, that would have killed him.
He's gonna be like a James Bond villain.
Dude, because if anything, like
diamonds in his face or something.
He was a James Bond villain though.
Let's exclude the cranial damage, but the fact that that would cause like neck damage, shoulder, anyway.
Yeah, but he has the Nazis behind him. So I don't
again,
know.
we're suspending disbelief. I thought he killed it. He was a classic Indiana Jones, villain, obsessed with it. Of course, they went back to Nazis. I loved watching these fucking Nazis just get fucking murked.
I mean, it's the only villain he's got. That's
I love how Indiana throughout the film just fucking hates. And not even Nazis, no offense. I just think he doesn't like Germans too much, probably. Because he even says something at points like, "You're German, stop trying to be funny." And I was just dying. I was like, he fucking hates these guys, right?
He's very sore against the Nazis, and I'm like, I don't blame you, bro. Fuck him.
Oh yeah.
But
with the timeline, he's gone through a lot with them, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, but as far as the main villain, Mads owns it. He kills it. He's a presence on scene. He's very commanding, and he's not. He can go toe to toe intellectually with Indiana Jones to a point, But it's a good rivalry for Indiana. And
No, I think that he's like, that's not Jurgen isn't the action guy, right? He's not the foe who's gonna come and like try to beat him up. It's trying to outsmart him.
He's
right?
the brains of the
brain.
operation.
He's got the muscle with him.
Yeah, he's got the muscle around him, exactly. But I
big
think
dude.
like
Hawk.
playing like the brains works in his favor because he's always one step ahead of him, or kind of can see where he's going and can figure it out quicker than
I envisioned him as like that classical like Nazi mad scientist kind of character, right?
Oh yeah,
He's saying all the shit like even in the beginning. We won't talk about it much, but like his superiors are like questioning him, and they can tell they don't like him. They're like,
right.
They're like, what
he's like the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, and they're like, we don't give a fuck what this is, right? Because he's like making a big deal, and they're like, okay, like he's even trying to stop a guy at one point.
Because they're like, we're Nazis and we're stupid. So anyway,
he's like, keep your mystical dial to yourself, there, big boy.
Well, James.
Yes.
Any other characters that really kind of stood out to you? Like, what did you think about the return of Salah?
Loved it. I teared up when he said, I brought my passport. And I was like, fuck,
I know.
this is homie.
I was saying the same thing.
I was like, fuck, this is homie. He wants to go with him. So, because he's like, I miss the desert. And I was like, damn, that hit hard right there for some reason. I was like, damn.
Yep.
That was cool. Antonio Banderas, he even said like his role is mostly just a cameo, but he was happy just to be in it. He was cool. That was cool just to see him.
He even threw out a line, "Puss and boots."
Dude, every time he talked, I just imagine him in the boots. He's like, and boots.
I told Zane in the movie theater we kept doing it. Puss and boots.
He's like, it's a 7 of spades. I will say Boyd Holbrook. Haven't seen him since that fucking Predators movie, I think. I don't know. He's probably
and
that guy is
Knock
such
on
a
wood.
piece of shit
I like
in this
him too.
movie. I fucking hated his character.
He
But
is.
that's the point. And
That
like
is the
seeing it a
point.
second time, you catch on to a couple like things. Like he's learning German for a reason, like in that little book, because he's all in onto this fucking
fascist fuck.
kind of. And by the way, he was in Logan too. By the way, he was the arm thing, right? So he's
he was
awesome role too.
That's right.
yeah. So like he's
He's
worked
also
with
in the
James Mangold in the past. So
first 2 seasons of
Narcos. Yeah.
Narcos. Yep.
oh, and he was in a wolf movie called The Cursed, which I think he's the main character in it. It's a werewolf movie from last year. But no, he's not the wolf. But everyone was good, and like we said, the guy Hawk was gigantic. Jesus Christ, dude!
Yeah, I mean,
That guy was
I
like
couldn't tell if they were doing that on
Hulk-size.
person, like they had him stand on a soapbox or something. Because
Dude,
man, that
there's
guy was
times where like when
tall.
Helena would like run into him on accident, and like I was like, Jesus Christ, that guy's huge. Or Teddy.
And Phoebe Waller-Bridge is tall, so she's like
Jesus.
looking up.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I mean-
Jesus. Marco, let's go into the action. But we talked a little bit about there's a train scene. I know we don't want to get too much into spoilers. There's obviously
technically
stuff
talk
to
about
show
that.
in the trailer.
Even after, yeah, you're true.
Yeah,
right.
but for the most part, how did you feel the action kind of connected with the previous Indiana Jones film? Did you feel like it was the same, better, or was Harrison Ford keeping up? Like, what were your thoughts on how this action scene worked?
I think that was an amazing opening action set piece. The whole train scene. I love train action sequences. I don't know why, but I fucking do. They're exciting to watch, because you're on a moving train, you're in an isolated situation, but you're also moving at the same time, and anything could happen. I like the tension of going, from train car to train car and trying to evade, being spotted. I love when they put that in video games too. But it felt very akin to an Indiana Jones action set piece, and I think Harrison Ford kept up well. The de-aging actually looked pretty good. There was only one time, I think, when the light was directly on him. I can see why they did it at nighttime, but the light is directly on him. I'm like, okay, it's a little off right there, but I'm gonna let it slide. Whatever. It worked. And there was tension, there was comedy, there was great action. I love when and this isn't much of a spoiler, but Indiana Jones puts on a Nazi uniform to blend in, and then he walks into a car where soldiers are sitting there, or Nazis are there, and they look up and they see that he's got a bullet hole in his fucking uniform, and that's how I can tell he's an infiltrator or a spy. But I like that. I think that it felt very reminiscent to opening sequences to Indiana Jones movies, where there's an action set piece that just hits you, boom, 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 at 100 miles an hour, and it set the tone and the stakes for the adventure, and sprinkled with a little bit of mystery that every Indiana Jones movies opens up with like, what is this? What does it do? What is the Dial of Destiny?
And James, what about the there was a great chase scene in Morocco when they were driving the streets. I thought it was great. Yeah. Did you feel that was? Did you feel that it was more practical, or did you kind of see some of the CG? Like, how did you feel?
Yeah, you can see
CG was showing.
There's a lot. There's CG, but I mean, Harrison Ford's 80 years old, guys. We're not going to be fucking throwing around 2 fucking motorcycle carts, right? There's a cool airplane scene that we get later on as well. There's another.
Underwater scene.
The underwater scene I thought was great, by the way. And obviously it's all CG. I mean, they probably did some water scenes in it, but the eel thing is a callback to snakes and such like that. And I really like that whole sequence.
I love that they still throw out the snakes somehow for him to be freaked out. Like,
yeah, and he doesn't like people mentioning it. He's like, and then Teddy's like, they're basically snakes, and then he's like, no, they're not.
Yeah,
kind of. Even
the fact that they're moving from location to location to look for this mystery that they're looking for, I like that.
It was cool, and then they're working together, and you're kind of in the process of that all too. You're learning more about Helena too, and kind of like why she's in it, and like she's wearing a mask of like wanting just to sell shit, but really like her dad's obsession with it really wore off to her as well, So it's almost like her trying to prove that her dad wasn't crazy by proving like this is all legit, and like his life
a little bit. Yeah, I think there was some
entirely like thrown away for this dial,
for the money.
Yeah, basically.
Is there there's a few more things we can talk about the spoilers, but before we go to that, is there anything, James, that you felt like you really wanted more of in this film, or maybe you felt like we talked about the runtime? Did you feel like maybe we could have took some things out?
Nah, it worked for me, man. I mean, for God's sakes, I saw it twice, guys.
That's true. That is true.
I mean, obviously, I didn't have a problem with it. No, I thought it was good. I thought maybe the one thing I would have liked a little bit was a little more emotion from Helena. We get that at the end, though. No, I'm good. Yeah, actually, no, it worked for me.
How about you, Marco? Anything that you felt you were missing from this film, or just thought there was too much of?
No short round, I guess.
I know, it would have been nice to see him in this one.
That's a spoiler. That's what I was gonna say. Is fuck it. I'll just say it now. Whatever. Stop listening for like 5 minutes. But I was. You never know. I might go on a tangent. I was really expecting a scene with Short Round, even just a subtle something in a scene where someone calls him Indy, and then all of a sudden you hear from the background him saying, "Don't call him Indy, call him Dr. Jones," and him just helping him get out of a bind would have been I think I was almost expecting it. And I was like, no!
After the Academy Awards, maybe, but at the time, like
kind of late.
Aside from that, no, there wasn't anything that was too much. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about our star rating first, and then we'll go into spoilers. Marco, 1 to 5 stars. What was your rating?
4.5 stars.
4.5.
This is amazing.
Nice. Cool. And James, what about you?
Yeah, I give it 4.5 stars as well.
Yeah. And I gave it 4 stars. So, it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. So, stick around. If you've already seen the film, we'll talk a little bit more about the movie itself. We'll also go over our ranking of the other Indiana Jones films. If you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and just skip forward a little bit so you can listen to the outro and find out what we're going to be talking about on our next pod. Okay, so we're in the spoiler section. Marco touched on it a bit in the beginning. There is this big opening scene, the train scene where Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, is on the hunt with a bunch of Nazis looking for the Dial of Destiny with his partner, which is played by Toby Jones.
Well,
kind of. He's
not
Basil
really.
Shaw. They're kind of researching
They're not
something.
looking for the Downess. They're looking for the spear of Leonidas.
Oh, they're looking for the spear. That's right. And they kind of happen upon the dial as well.
They come across the Anticles or what the fuck. It's a huge.
They find out like basically everything's just like not real. Like,
yeah,
everything's fake.
Well, no, the only thing that's fake is the spear. It's a
spear. I thought the whole cart ended up being like.
No, the cart's all real. That's why Indy says they need to stop it so that it doesn't go off the bridge.
Okay. Well, see, obviously I missed part of that.
Mm-hmm. It's all real.
But to that point, this is all set in the past of modern, present,
After
the 60s.
Events of the Last Crusade, actually.
So they've de-aged Harrison Ford and Mads Mikkelsen. A lot of the shots are in the dark, but I'm gonna, since you touched on it already, Mark, I'm gonna go to James. What did you think about the effects of the de-aging?
They're almost there. That's what I'll say.
Yeah,
they're close.
Pretty close.
Not quite. It's a lot better than Tron Legacy, right? Like we've come a long way since then.
From Jeff Bridges,
and also the Tarkin in Rogue One. I mean, that's probably the other one.
That one was actually really good though too. So
that was pretty close too, but you could tell he's a CG dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Nick Fury and Miss Marvel is probably the one that did it the most for the longest, right? So, but yeah, so like it's more noticeable the lighter it is. You're right about that. But it was as soon as he puts the hat on, I think it's a lot. I don't think their hair. They don't quite have the hair down either. Because as soon as they put the hat on, then I was like, oh, okay, now it looks a lot better because we're just focusing on the face now. We're not focusing on it as much. You can still tell, especially like in the scene where they jump off the side, right? And they come out, like you can tell it's an old man walking the way he's hunched over. Like, you're like, oh fuck, that's an 80-year-old man walking. That's not a 36-year-old dude. Like you can tell. But outside of that, I mean, it's close. It's cool. It gives you a little old classic Indy just for the first 20 minutes of the movie, you know?
Which was enjoyable. Like we didn't get that in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. You know, he was. I mean, not that Harrison Ford was super old during that film. I mean, he was older.
I mean, we thought he was super old, and then this movie came out.
Yeah, right. And so, like, to be able to see. I mean, it's true.
Yeah, but being if you were like, "Yo, there's going to be another movie in 15 years," I'd be like, "Isn't he going to be fucking dead by then?"
Yeah, like the guy's got the youth of life from that fucking chalice, and
that is the fan theory of like, it reset everything from that point. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it looks pretty good for what it is, except for certain scenes. I mean, you can't get away with it, but it's definitely that technology is.
It's almost
better
there.
Or for worse. It's almost there. So we're gonna get these characters in perpetuity.
Just get the deepfake guys.
I mean, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on this whole CGU thing, but I feel like at some point, like it's okay to have a younger actor play them.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, I think it is. Or I mean, fine. Disney hates recasting apparently, but that's another whole fucking Black Panther conversation for another day, I guess.
Yeah, like they did it in the Last Crusade, right?
Exactly.
River Phoenix, like it was fine. I know he's supposed to be like Indy. We know
he's a kid. That's why they're not doing like
I get that part of it.
Yeah, because they do that a lot in movies. I mean, they'll have a kid version of someone, but they won't have like a 25-year-old version of him if he's a 40-year-old dude, right? Like it's not gonna happen.
I mean, we were just talking about Tetro and Vincent Gallo's character. It's supposed to be him 20 years old, and Vincent Gallo's supposed to be, I guess, 40. Like it's a completely different person. You know?
Yeah,
so
true.
It's not the word. Like I get it, the whole continuity thing, but I feel like
that movie was also $295 million less to make than this movie.
Right. So you could have got a young actor and afforded him fine.
So who knows? I don't know. I don't know what their budget was.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a thing. You know, actors might strike on it. They'll figure it out. Hopefully, it works out for everybody. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if they're okay with it, then okay, I guess. And if they're still alive, I think it's weird that they're making like a movie with James Dean and he's been dead for like forever at this point. So like,
I don't even know how they have that much footage of him, but okay.
Who knows, man?
So, but CG is a thing. So that's going to be either one way or another. It's going to continue to get better, and we will see if we like it or not, or think it's too weird. Speaking about people that's supposedly dead, we have a throw. I was waiting for them to do it, and they did. Kind of like three in the third act, or like near the end of the second act. But they talk about what happened to Mutt. But nevertheless, they bring it up about he essentially he was. I don't know if it was. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if he was conscripted or he joined, but he ended up going.
He joined
to fight in the war and killed in action, unfortunately.
This movie takes place 12 years.
This film is in
after
69.
69.
Because it's after the moon landing.
So it should be Vietnam, probably.
Yeah, it's Vietnam.
Yeah, I think it's Vietnam. So, I mean, that was a terrible thing. But how did you feel? Let me ask you, Marco, how did you feel that kind of reveal was handled? Do you think that was a good kind of way they did it? Or do you think it's like they just needed to do it and they put something in there? Like, what were your thoughts when you heard it?
A little bit of both. Like, I understand why they did it. They had to do it. But I think it worked. It worked from the movie. It worked to kind of create this sort of shell of Indiana Jones that's just feels like he's at the end of his rope and missing something. It added more to him, rising up throughout the movie and, becoming the great adventurer archaeologist that he was in his prime. And speaking solely only of the characters, I'm not talking about the actors themselves. Of the characters themselves, it was kind of heartbreaking. That is the scene where I got a little teary-eyed when he was talking about it. He's saying he lost his fucking son, dude. I fucking grabbed my fucking son's arm during that scene, dude. It was fucking sad, again, separating the actor from the character. Like, it was just, it was just fucking sad. And the fact that it ruined his life, it was a touching scene, and he definitely didn't phone it in. It was very emotional. You see through Helena's reaction to that in her face. Very good acting from her side too. Of like the gut punch that brings when he's talking about it.
Yeah, James, sorry, go ahead. What were your thoughts?
It's a really emotional scene. It's one of those things where if you've ever lost anyone close, you probably thought about like what you would tell someone, right, to make them stop doing something.
Yeah.
So that's why that one hit me hard too. So,
it's one of the 3 scenes that he created.
Yeah, I teared up in that one just because he's like, I tell him that he dies. Dies. It's like, oh shit. I almost thought, I was like, are they gonna save him somehow?
Right. He's just gonna show up.
They're gonna pull some Back to the Future shit, and he's gonna be in the house at the end. I'm like,
that's kind of what I was thinking too. Yeah, something's gonna be happening.
I was like, well, this is why I don't write for Hollywood. So they were just like, what if he has a son that destroys them both? I'm like, this is the plot of Star Wars again. Holy I have to stop him. He's like, I don't know what to do. So I liked it a lot. I like how they handled it. And we got to separate it too. And it's it's kind of crazy because you get in the King Crystal Skull, and that's kind of where the fucking Shia LaBeouf started falling from grace with people, especially with Steven Spielberg and all this stuff. But who knows?
Even with Ford, they had some issues, but I agree. Like I liked what they did with it. I think that it was very likely to happen. Like, I mean, that's a very common thing that happened during that era.
They had to address it though, in a way,
right? They had to address it.
Yep.
And that helps to kind of tie in the dissolution of their marriage with Marion, how that came about, because obviously they ended very strongly, and you would have thought that there was growth, and then realized,
Crystal.
So I think that was a really good way to kind of incorporate the marriage part of it, because it would have been one thing for Mutt to just pass away, but it's a different thing for like, well, how did the marriage dissolve? And that I think was a good tie-in there too. Speaking of which, thoughts on how this movie ended. We do have Marion does do a cameo in the film, and
probably talking about the stuff before that,
before that cameo, there's this whole, the Dial of Destiny is supposed to be Archimedes' kind of compass of some sort, where he's found a way to time travel through rifts in the earth, like this kind of wormholes kind of thing in the atmosphere. I'm not really sure, but
it finds rifts of time in the atmosphere, but there's a catch to it. It's not really a time machine. It only brings you back to a specific time in history.
It's like a beacon. It's an SOS thing, like come and save us,
which
and
is
only us.
Watching it twice hinted at a lot, by the way. Like he's teaching the whole story about this battle to the class that doesn't give a shit about him.
Yep.
When they go to that town in Italy, the kids are watching a puppet play where a dragon is chasing down the Romans, and that is
yeah,
that's them.
the events because they're they obviously
dragons.
thought it was dragons that came out of the sky, and so on and so forth. And there's even a few other Easter eggs strewn before this whole thing that definitely tells you that it's not a time machine.
Well, what did
it's
you
all
think?
because Archimedes did not consider continental drift.
Well, I don't know actually.
I mean,
no,
I feel like
that's why.
Well, the continental drift didn't matter. It just I guess because it would never come back, I guess.
Because he specifically says where your coordinates are incorrect. We're not going to the time we're going to.
I think so. After like figuring out that they ended up going to Sicily, right? And that's where they ended up. I think Indiana Jones realizing that continental drift wasn't accounted for, and the coordinates would have been incorrect, kind of was the telltale sign of saying that
is just the telltale sign to show that it only goes to Sicily at the year 216.
The intention was that's where it's going to go. You're not going to go anywhere else.
You don't go anywhere else. Yeah. And
so if you did the math and you figured it out,
the device, when you watch it, you'll realize like the device was never planned to time travel anywhere. It was only to help them defeat the Romans.
Right.
That's why he was like, that's why he knew to go to the beach to see Indy and like, oh shit, like where are you guys from? And like, you guys helped us kill all they destroy the whole Navy. The Nazis kill the Navy.
Shooting the shit out of it.
Because your boy fucking Holbrook just
gung ho, man. I will say I actually enjoyed that time travel part of it, and I liked that they went back over there. It was kind of cool to see that, and then the whole sense of like they all fucked up, and then like the idea of
then he
what
sees
would you
the
really
things
do?
He talked about too, though, like the mirrors that shoot the beams that blow, and the things that rip ships out of the water. It's kind of cool.
It's all kind of there.
Yeah.
But what I want to ask about is, I mean, it's not a twist, but it kind of is, where like you're going through it, and Indy's like, I'm gonna stay. I gotta do this, and Helena's like, no, you're coming back with me. Like, this is not good for anybody.
I almost thought he was gonna stay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Marco, did you guys think that? Did you think that he was actually gonna stay, and this is how we were gonna end it, or did you see it coming a mile away?
I was like, this is probably the most wild fucking ending of this motherfucker stays.
Because James brought it up. He's talking about that specific battle in his classroom, and I was like, oh shit, that's so like, wow, that's so cathartic. Like he's like talking about it in his class, and then he ends up just staying there, like full fucking circle. So that I really thought he was gonna stay there.
Yeah, I did too, but then this is also where Helena shows a lot of emotion towards it. Like you can tell that she actually really cares about Indy.
Right.
She never actually says it in the movie though, like ever, like I need you. But she's hinting at it super fucking heavy. Like when he says like later on where he's like, what for who? And Marion comes in, but it's also like she's about to almost say like, for me too, I need you. Because that's your godfather. So technically that's her dad, right? Technically that's how it works.
But at the same time, like she also tells him straight up, like after she brings it back, like you would have ruined everything to try to make it seem like, oh,
I think she just says that though, especially
kind of tough exterior,
just to make it as an excuse of like, that's why I brought you back. By the way, her slugging him was hilarious.
It was.
I didn't expect that, and I was like, damn. What about the guy that was in the ship with Teddy? That's just like an Italian guy. Like, I don't know what we're doing here. Back in the Greece.
Fucking hilarious.
Who the fuck was that guy? He's like, this is my plane. Please, we didn't land on the plane, right? And I was like, shit, those are my friends. My friends.
I'm going to assume that it's because he needed a reason to find a way to fly the plane back up. But they didn't, to land it.
Like, it would be too unbelievable for Teddy to be dodging fucking catapults and shit, too.
For real.
And landing and also taking off from a very uneven thing where when he barely made it on a fucking normal fucking runway.
So they just needed that. Like, this is a little bit
like,
more
what if
realistic.
What if a random Italian guy, 66-ish years old? They're like, I don't know. That sounds fucking crazy, but I'll do it. So. He's like,
I don't know how they all fit in that
taking
plane,
a nap in the back of my plane, please.
I was like, for real?
Yeah, that's
just randomly sleeping in the fucking plane. All right.
I mean, it's his plane.
It's more common than you think, I guess. Apparently,
yeah.
For pilots, especially if you have a early morning flight, you would just sleep in the plane. So
it's like a truck driver, you know. You gotta take a nap.
Yeah, that's why I looked at it too. So I was like, all right.
All right, and then again, the last scene. So after all of that, we're going in. Marion shows up. Surprisingly enough,
Waterfalls.
James cried over there too. Like, what happened there, buddy?
When they did the callback to where it doesn't hurt, I was like, "Fuck, hold it together."
Yeah, it was good.
Hold it together, you goddamn bitch.
That was 4 movies
ago. He looked over and I was like, I got a little emotional there, man. I was like, "Fuck again." I was like, "We gotta stop watching movies in this theater together, bro."
Just fucking squeezing each other's hands and shit.
He's like, "It's gonna be okay, man. You know, it's just a movie, right?" I was like, "Shut up."
Just fucking hold me. No, that was a really touching scene. I love the callback that they did. You know,
I was shocked she was in it. Actually, I was like, "Oh shit!" I brought her back.
Same.
I'm glad she
like,
was,
holy
like
shit!
Marion.
All right, and here we go. But I like that.
Yeah.
Then they did big kiss, little kiss, big kiss, big hug, little hug, little hug, big kiss.
And again, I was expecting fucking Short Round to burst through that fucking door. I was like, please.
You know what? You want to know how I knew he wasn't in the movie no matter what? Because like when him and Harrison, like only like 2 months ago, like it seemed like they hadn't seen each other in 40 years. I was like, oh, he's definitely not in the movie.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way too. I was like, maybe he did a rush.
I remember for the Golden Globe Awards, I think, or some shit, or one of them.
Yeah.
Harrison is like, he snuck up on him. He's like, holy shit, are you Short Round? He called him Short Round for fuck's sake. I was like, Harrison doesn't know his real name. It's Coppola Corner, man. It's not a big deal. Whatever, it's fine. But that's how I knew. But I was like, that's cool though. They rekindled their friendship. I mean, you probably saw him as like a dad. So
yeah,
that's the first film he worked on. So you know, took a lot of inspiration from him. So you know, that's a lot of our overall thoughts of this film. But before we end this podcast, let's talk about the rankings of our Indiana Jones films.
I had to add it, guys. I know this could have been a topic probably, but we were like, you know, fuck it, rank these bitches, cuz.
No, I'm with you. You know, there's history here. Probably the last time we're going to do this for at least a Harrison Ford film. Yeah. So I'm going to start with you, James. How did you rank these Indiana Jones films? What was your top? What was your last? Everything in the middle? Where were you at?
You just wanted to rank off.
Yeah, just rank them, buddy. Let us know. Which one's the shittiest one?
Okay, first off, I don't think any of these movies are shitty, just so you know. Like, I've watched these movies throughout the years, so I don't think there's a bad Indiana Jones movie. There's just better ones than others.
I mean, they're all technically fresh, so, you know.
They are fresh to death, right?
That's right.
So if I was to rank them, it's definitely for me, still Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite one. That's number one. It's hard to beat that movie. I think my second one's still going to be Last Crusade. Then I'm going to go Dial of Destiny, Temple of Doom, and then King of the Crystal Skull.
Very cool.
Because I'm going to say this much. I usually like Temple of Doom a lot more, but for some reason, this rewatch, I don't know. I didn't like it as much this time around. I don't know. I'm just letting you know. That's all.
Yeah. Marco?
And plus, the elephant molested Willie. That's it. Sorry.
She did. Quite a bit.
Touch
He's getting touchy and
them
little handsy. Or sorry.
Marco, look at me. Touch them titties, baby.
Those are titties, man.
Hey, let me see them titties.
I did fail to say in Tetro, we got to see the Flash's mom's tits, so you know, on her ass. But anyway,
I was okay with that. By the way, I was okay with that.
Yeah. No, you see her naked in Y tu mamá también anyway. But anyway,
it was just nice. It was a nice reminder, though. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm a little opposite of James. I still rank Temple of Doom first because it's the first Indiana Jones movie I ever saw and holds a lot of memories for me. I watched that movie religiously. So Temple of Doom, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Dial of Destiny, Last Crusade, Kingdom of Crystal Skull is my ranking.
Yeah.
And truthfully, Lost Ark and Dial of Destiny could probably be tied for me.
Oh, okay.
Damn, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. Shit.
I'm Raiders of the Lost Ark, still my number one. My number two is Temple of the Doom. And then my three is Dial of Destiny, and then it's Last Crusade and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And for me, Last Crusade, Dial of Destiny, they kind of go back and forth. I enjoy both those films kind of at the same level. They were really good.
Yeah, but kind of akin to what James is saying, like there is no banned Indiana Jones movie for me, and even like my rankings, I could pop in any one of these movies and have fun and watch them.
Yeah, have a good time. Exactly.
Yeah,
100% agree.
All right, so that's the end of the podcast. Thank you guys and gals for listening.
It was a good time.
Marco, let them know how they can reach us.
Listen and follow us in this timeline or another on any of your favorite podcast service. Trust us, we're on all of them. But for a quick link to all our socials, visit linktree/moviepalspod. Thank you, and make sure to smash that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
And make sure to also stay tuned for our next episode number 154, where we will be reviewing my favorite film of the year, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, Part 1, as well as completing our Coppola Corner with our review of Betwixt Now and Sunrise, the authentic cut.
Thank you, Nabil. Until next time, this is James.
And Marco.
And Nabil.
Have a great one.